next story, we are going to do a bit of a deep dive because I have to go there to break down everything. DSA, also known as Democratic Socialists of America, in my opinion, it appears that there is infiltration in that organization. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was infiltration at the very beginning. And I have some receipts to show you. They recently took a vote to vote against or for fighting Zionism. And I think people need to see this. The DSA organization had a pretty firm position when it came to Israel and BDS. It supports BDS, according to the handbook, supported BDS. At least this goes back to 2018 when AOC and the squad members were originally running at that point in time. Supports BDS, does not support Israel's occupation, etc. You get the point. And yet, when they took this poll, DSA officially votes to approve R22 for a fighting anti-Zionist DSA. But look at the votes. In DSA, this is alarming. 675 people voted yes. 524 people voted no. 524 people in DSA voted against fighting the Zionism, and 30 abstained. Now look at the pie chart. This is a problem. And for people who feel maybe I'm being too harsh, considering what DSA's policy is about this particular issue, I don't know who those 524 people are, but this should have been 100% in favor of fighting against Zionism. And people are calling it out. This is why I don't like, and people ask me, join this organization, join them. This is why I don't like doing that. This is infiltration. That is what this is. It's not even like 20 people, 524. That's infiltration. Now you'll see here, there was another one. This is interesting. Sad, but not too surprised by DSA voting down support for one Palestinian state. It drew opposition from the right, who don't want to hold our electeds to that stance, and from the campus left, who don't want to commit to that state being secular or democratic. Here's another one, folks. DSA for one Palestinian state. 330 people voted yes. 752 members voted against a one Palestinian state. For those who are not aware, that would be a secular state with equal rights. The majority of DSA members voted against that. What the hell is going on? That's infiltration at its sharpest. And even if it wasn't a part, if it wasn't a part of the handbook, then I could say, well, it's not policy, but it's there and it's been there. So DSA has been infiltrated. And I think it's been there for a long time. And we'll go back to one of the more popular feminists to show you how long I think that infiltration may have been there. Because on that thumbnail, you saw AOC and Gloria Steinem. Let's start with Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem, popular feminist. I have discussed her style of feminism on the show before, and I explained to people that the Gloria Steinem style of feminism is not what you should strive towards. And you're going to see why in just a second. Now, apparently, somehow this flew over my head, but at some point or another, DSA decided to make Gloria Steinem an honorary chair of DSA. And in 2016, this should have been big, I think, alarm bells about the organization. Okay. Gloria Steinem, in 2016, they had to put out a statement about it because of what she did. February 10, 2016, Gloria Steinem, who supports former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination, recently made controversial statements or misstatements in which she suggested that young women who support Bernie Sanders are doing so not out of well-considered political judgment, but because they are thinking, where are the boys? The boys are with Bernie. Here is an honorary chair of DSA, Miss Gloria Steinem, buying into the Bernie bro narrative. Knowing there were many women who supported Bernie Sanders, and Gloria Steinem bought into the DNC corporate talking points that if you didn't support Hillary Clinton, it was sexist. That's who was an honorary chair of the DSA. This is some of the infiltration. It goes on to say here, Steinem serves as one of 8 honorary chairs of Democratic Socialists of America, along with Cornel West, Barbara Enright, Francis Fox Piven, and others. Based on her work for DSA in the 1980s and 90s and one of its predecessor organization, DSA Organizing Committee. While we appreciate Steinem's pioneering work in the feminist movement and view her as a major figure in the history of feminism, we were very disappointed by her disparaging comments about female Bernie supporters, many of whom are active DSA members. Her views do not reflect those of DSA leadership. Where have we heard this before? What about the times when DSA put out these statements against AOC choosing to vote against the railroad workers to strike, AOC voting to present on the Iron Dome, and then more recently, they put out a statement about AOC choosing to vote against stopping funding for the Iron Dome. They've been doing this. And this is why I say, these organizations, fam, they get infiltrated. The National Political Committee of the Democratic Socialists of America views Steinem remarks as demeaning towards many dedicated female activists who are active in the Sanders campaign because they recognize that Senator Sanders' political program supports feminist and democratic aims more so than the platform of Hillary Clinton. Okay. And that's just one thing. And it was just one thing, you could just kind of just shrug it off. But why did they even make Gloria Steinem an honorary chair of DSA when Gloria Steinem had direct ties to the CIA? Gloria Steinem was a spy. Why would you make a spy an honorary chair of your organization, which is supposed to be fighting back against corporatism and corruption? We've shown this before, but if you have not seen this, and I've talked about this before about Gloria Steinem and how she was incredibly problematic, and also how she hurt the civil rights movement for Black Americans in this country. What is often missed or mischaracterized, however, is the work that she did as a CIA agent. Gloria Steinem was a spook. CIA agents are tight-lipped, but Steinem spoke openly about her relationship to the agency in the 1950s and the 60s after a magazine revealed her employment by a CIA front organization, the Independent Research Service. While popularity pillared because of her paymaster, Steinem defended the CIA relationship, saying, "In my experience, the agency was completely different from its image. It was liberal, nonviolent, and honorable." Yeah, I mean, you think she's going to say, "Oh my God, it was evil, awful." Oh no. This is the woman that they made as honorary chair of DSA. This wasn't private. This was public information, even at that time. So let's make a CIA spy an honorary chair of our organization that's going to fight back against corruption and power. Does that not sound weird to you? If the spy part doesn't get you, You need to think about what else Gloria Steinem did and what DSA policies mean. The Nation called this out. 2024. Nationalism distorts feminism in Israel just as it did in the United States. So, Gloria Steinem, let's fast forward here, because her name, she comes up quite a bit. I just want to make sure I don't skip that part. This part right here. In the end, Israeli women will be harmed by this too, though perhaps not during the campaign, but after it's over. The proof of this lies in the U.S. experience in the war on terror, which similarly appropriated feminist lingo, ideas, and agenda to paper over invasions and occupations. Check this out. After September 11, 2001, Femonationalism seized. Oh, where am I? Okay, sorry. After September 2001, September 11, Femonationalism seized the United States. When First Lady Laura Bush said that America was invading Afghanistan to liberate Afghan women from the Taliban, few questioned her. The Feminist Majority Foundation, one of the largest women's organizations in the U.S., attended the State Department ceremony in which the invasion was announced. Gloria Steinem, who had famously handcuffed herself to a chair to protest the Vietnam War, made statements in favor of democracy promotion. Many white feminists lined up to cheer the killing of people who had nothing to do with September 11. But this is who they made the honorary chair of DSA. She supported the war. And this is where the feminism part, this is where people get twisted. She supported the war under the guise of feminism. She either fell for, or maybe I would say she was smart enough not to fall for, but promoted the lie that we would save the women and the children. You can't make these things up. You have to look into this information, ladies and gents. And then something more recently when it comes to Gloria Steinem. This was just in 2023. Gloria Steinem also fell for the Hamas sexual assault story. She was one of the people. Women rights leaders urge full investigation and justice for Israeli sexual assault victims and survivors. So peep this, fam. A letter signed by Miss founding editors Gloria Steinem and Letty Porgabin, Kathy Hochul, the list goes on, etc., Ashley Judd, yada, 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 goes on to say, they urge the Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, to investigate the sexual torture and other war crimes perpetuated on October 7th at the hands of the terrorist group Hamas. Why weren't more people talking about this? Gloria Steinem was promoting the sexual assault lie about Hamas, and doing so under the guise of feminism. Well, it's about women, so you better investigate it. Did Gloria Steinem call for an investigation towards the Palestinian women who have been brutally sexually assaulted and have evidence? Did she call for an investigation into that? Did Gloria Steinem call for an investigation into the gentleman on the footage that we've seen on social media that was sexually assaulted by multiple IDF members? Did she call for an investigation into that? Where does Gloria Steinem stand on Israel? And I swear to you, all of this is connected. While she has been one to criticize Benjamin Netanyahu, especially after he barred people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar from coming to Israel. How does she feel about Zionism, though? How does Gloria Steinem feel about Zionism? Did you know? And let's go through this, because see, I don't know if everybody knows this. It's all coming out today. In 1975, there was a resolution by the United Nations. It was called the United Nations Zionism is Racism Resolution of November 10th of 1975. This resolution says 1975, the UN General Assembly passed a resolution that denounced Zionism as a form of racism. It was the most important victory to date for the PLO and its Soviet bloc, Arab, and third world state supporters. The vote was 72 in favor, 35% opposed, and 32 abstained. West Germany voted against it. Resolution 3379 on the elimination of all forms of racial discrimination was the most famous of the many defeats that Israel endured at the UN in these decades. How many people knew about this, right? Okay, let's see the position that she had about that. Now, as I said before, she has spoken out against Netanyahu, especially when he barred Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. But if you go on here, let me scroll down, make sure we're on the right one. Yeah, she spoke out against that. I think I'm on the wrong one. Here we are. But when it came to that UN resolution, there were 60 prominent women who condemned the UN anti-Zionist resolution. There were 60. Check this out. 60 prominent women today sent a telegram to UN Secretary General Kurtz and goes on to say, condemning the anti-Zionist resolution. Listen to what this says. As women committed to the worldwide struggle for human rights and equality, we are appalled at the racist label applied solely to that national self-determination movement of the Jewish people. We decry this implicit denial of Israeli statehood and this incitement to worldwide anti-Semitism. The resolution, they continued, is the first and only time an authentic movement for national and ethnic survival would be condemned as racist. Let's go on to see who signed this, shall we? You know who supported this? And the crazy part about here too, even the NAACP backed this at that point in time, which is crazy. Let's make sure I get to the part here. I might have passed it. Did I pass it? Sorry. There's a lot of people mentioned. Here we go. So look who supported this. Number one, Althea T.L. Simmons, National Director of Educational Programs, NAACP. Even the NAACP didn't want to call Zionism racist. Do you guys see how all of these organizations are corrupt? They're all complicit. The NAACP, which was supposedly fighting for Black people during the civil rights movement, would not call Zionism racist. And guess who else wouldn't call it that? Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem had a problem with calling Zionism racism. So when we go back to that vote that took place with the DSA about pushing back against Zionism, these people, this organization has been greatly infiltrated. You had someone who was an honorary chair who didn't think that Zionism was racism. That's how you get, let's come back here. That's how you get 524 people that say no. That's how you get 752 people that say no to a one Palestinian state. Now is not the time to fall asleep. Now is not that time. Now is the time for people to really wake up. So when we get to the vote that just happened with AOC, where she did not vote for that bill, obviously, one, because it was MTG's bill, but also because she said, well, the Iron Dome has defensive capacities. Remember this whole spill that we went through? So AOC still wanted Israel to be able to defend itself. What I'm trying to tell you is this: the direct connection is that maybe DSA started one way and maybe that's what they wanted to do, but they have allowed Zionists to infiltrate the organization. When you have an honorary chair who was a popular feminist who refused to call Zionism racism, when you have AOC who voted in such a way, this wasn't the first time, multiple times, to give pass to the Iron Dome, that is how you get the votes that they just got. And what that tells you, and this I have to say, what that tells you is that there's infiltration everywhere, but that also explains why they are rather timid with the Israel thing as it is today. So DSA has been infiltrated. That infiltrating started long ago. Anytime you were willing to make a spy an honorary chair. And that's how you get here. And that's unfortunate. It's sad. I remember when DSA first, became big, and it seemed like they were on the right track, at least at that point, and the policies that they were pushing, etc. But when people tell you something is not right in the water, believe something is not right in the water. So don't take a nap. Don't go back to sleep. Turn down for what? A lot of these organizations are being exposed, and people are starting to see it for what it really is. Now, if you're a member of DSA, I'm not here calling you a Zionist. What I am saying is that organization, considering its position on Israel, in my opinion, should not have Zionists a part of the organization, or people that believe that it's okay to be Zionist. That's a problem. And this is after the genocide has started. This vote took place recently. This vote wasn't 2016. This vote took place recently. So if Zionists have infiltrated DSA, what else have they infiltrated? Think about it. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.